I'm going to be reading an excerpt from this book. It's called A Different Game. This is the cover of it right here by Sylvia Olsen. And I want you guys to think, what's the purpose of this book? Why did she write it? Chapter 1, A Different Game. Murphy gets to the field late. The other boys are already there, all three of them. He joins their huddle near the bleachers, catching his breath. "It's about time," Albert says. He slaps Murphy on the back. "Yeah, Murph, we've been waiting for you," Jeff says. He leans into the circle and frowns at Murphy. Jeff is serious about everything. But he's not the only one who's serious about soccer. Murphy hadn't meant to be late. It's just that Mom makes him do chores before he plays in the morning. "We've got to practice hard," Jeff continues. "We're going to show Riverside Middle School that the best soccer players come from the Long Inlet Tribal School." So that tribal school sounds like they might be on a reservation, or they might be part of a Native American tribe. So let's see as we keep reading. Albert pounds his chest. "They ain't seen nothing yet," he says. "All four of us are going to make the team." Murphy is excited about going to middle school, especially about trying out for the soccer team. But deep inside, he has a few niggling fears. He liked the Long Inlet Tribal School, even though he'd only been there for 1 year. He knew everyone at the school. Half of them were related to him. He liked the way Mom came to the school and helped make lunch for all the kids. They always had great stuff like tacos and spaghetti. At Riverside, Murphy will have to get up early and catch a bus. Every morning. And Jeff, Albert, and Danny are the only 3 guys he'll know at the new school. There will be at least a couple of 100 kids who will be complete strangers. Mom says once he gets to middle school, he'll be making his own lunch in the morning, so he better get used to eating sandwiches. Murphy doesn't like the sound of that at all. When it comes right down to it, the only thing Murphy likes about going to Riverside is the soccer team. And then again, that is the worst problem of all. The boys from the tribal school are at a big disadvantage, and Murphy knows it. First of all, they're only in grade 7, and most of the middle school teams are going to be in grade 8. Second of all, the other grade 7s are trying out for the team will already have been in the school. The coach already knows them. He'll surely pick a kid he knows over from one from the tribal school. So it seems like he's not very optimistic about his chances of being on this soccer team. So what do you think is going to happen? Again, while reading, I want you to be thinking, what's the purpose of this story? Is our author writing to give us information about something? Is our author writing us to persuade us or think that their opinion's right? Or is our author writing to entertain us? Uncle Rudy says we're the best grade 7 players ever to go to Riverside, Jeff says. "Let's hear it for Uncle!" Albert high steps and slaps his knee. Murphy doesn't think Rudy is Jeff's uncle, but on the reserve, everyone seems to be related to one another. It's easier just to call any older man uncle and any older woman auntie. That way, you don't offend anyone. He made the Riverside team, and now he's a soccer superstar. "If he can do it, we can do it," says Albert. Just a couple of years ago, Uncle Rudy played for the Canadian World Cup soccer team, which makes him about the most famous person ever to come from Long Inlet Reserve. A lot of people, including Murphy, put it down to the fact that he broke into Riverview lineup in grade 7. So they might be foreshadowing something here. Grade 7 has been mentioned twice in this short period, and they're telling us that this Uncle Rudy, he became a soccer superstar because he started in grade 7. So maybe that's what our person is trying to strive for, be ambitious for. But that doesn't mean we've got it made, Danny says. It means we have to show our stuff, especially if all the 4 of us are going to make the starting lineup. "Come on, then. If we're going to show our stuff, we better get our stuff together," Murphy says. "Cut the talk. Let's do something." The boys take their spots on the field. Albert at center, Danny at offense, Jeff at defense, and Murphy in the goal. They play half a field until Levy and Haywire arrive. It's not long before enough boys show up so they can play 5 aside. Most of the boys are only going into grade 6, and a few of the others aren't serious soccer players. It's just the 4 of them, Albert, Danny, Jeff, and Murphy, who will be attending Riverside and trying out for the team. That's the reason there's a soccer game every day throughout the summer. To get ready. Younger boys and even non-soccer players come out to help prepare the grade 7s for the September tryouts. It's been a long inlet tradition ever since Uncle Rudy made the team. Sometimes one player from the reserve gets picked for the Riverside starting lineup. Rarely two, but never four. But like Uncle Rudy says, there's never been such a pool of long inlet grade 7 talent heading into middle school. You go, Albert, Hayward shouts. You're the best since Uncle Rudy. Riverside's not going to know what hit them. Haywire might be right. Even Uncle Rudy says as much. Maybe not right out loud, but it's easy to tell that Uncle Rudy is amazed at Albert's skill. It's no secret. All the boys, and pretty much everyone else on Long Inlet Reserve, know that Albert is the best young soccer player they have ever seen. So it's sounding more and more like there's hope that Albert is going to be making that soccer team because of that talent that he has. Levi passes to Albert. Albert takes the ball as if he's got a magnet on his foot. He drills it around Haywire like the guy is standing still. He dukes around Jeff, making him look like he's sitting on his heels, and charges straight for Murphy, who's crouched and ready. Albert aligns his body. At first his look as if he's going to drill the ball high and directly at Murphy. Murphy's all set, legs bent, eyes on the ball, hands up. Then at the last split second, Albert shifts his weight, fakes Murphy out, and slams the ball into the back of the net. Notice how here it didn't just say that Albert got the ball, he dribbled down the soccer field and scored. They put a lot of detail in here. It's making it much more action-packed. We can really see how he's scoring that goal. Geez, Murph, where were you? He shouts, and then he laughs. Albert runs to Murphy as he's picking up the ball. High five, Albert says, bouncing the balls on his feet. Forget it, Murph says. You're looking at the starting keeper. Try that again and see how good you are. Albert dribbles back to center field. That won't happen next time, Murphy hollers. Danny does a four-finger whistle, and the game starts again. Levi lets a shout go, and Connor tries one, but they don't have a chance. Murphy is good, really good. He gets in front of the ball, hits it, traps it, blocks it. Whatever it takes, Murphy does it. He is on his game, and it feels good. The Riverside coach can't possibly overlook him. But in the back of his mind, he knows the goalie position is the hardest position to take, especially if the coach already has someone in mind. Look out, Murph, Jeff hollers. Here comes Albert. This time, Albert takes a shot to the top left corner of the net. He knows it's Murphy's weak spot. For some reason, Murphy's left leg has slower reflexes than his right. The whole left side of his body seems to lack the lightning-fast responses that he can count on from his right side. It's not as if Murphy is slow on his left side, not compared to other boys, but he can feel a slight lag time in his muscles. The other person who knows about Murphy's right-left difference is Albert. And when Albert knows a player's weakness, he makes sure he uses that weakness to his advantage. Nice try, Albert shouts. Nice shot, Murphy shouts back. Albert is fast and he's tough. In the winter, when Murphy first started playing soccer with the big boys, he thought Albert just blasted his way to being a good player. Bull strength. Bigger's better, was what Murphy thought of Albert's style. But since the tournament in the spring, when the Long Inlet Buckskins went to Victoria to the Easter tournament, the biggest soccer tournament on the island, and won the trophy, Murphy has come to know a few other things about Albert. He's smart, his eyes doesn't miss a thing, and he plays your weaknesses. Before the Easter tournament, Uncle Rudy asked the team what part of the body was the most important to a good soccer player. Albert had been the first one to shout out an answer. Muscle, he said, flexing his arms. Danny said legs, Jeff said feet. No, think about it, Uncle Rudy said, pointing to his head. That's when Murphy figured out. The brain. You got it right, Murph, Uncle Rudy said. And don't you boys forget it. A soccer player has to use his head first. So, he's been giving us some information in here, saying, the brain's the most important part for a soccer player. Does that mean this is an informational text? Because our text is also trying to tell us that Albert and Murphy are really good soccer players, so it's trying to persuade us that they should be on the soccer team. So does that mean that this is actually a persuasive piece, an opinion piece? Or is it entertainment? Are we just reading this story for fun? Keep on thinking about it as we read our last page, and then I'll share our answer with you. But smart wasn't something Murphy would have called Albert. Not until recently. Now Albert is sharp. He watches all the players. He knows what they're good at and what they're not so good at. No matter how hard Murphy tries to compensate for his slower left side, he doesn't, and he's cutting that top off. He doesn't something is sharp. He watches all the players. He knows what they are good at and what they're not so good at. There we go. He doesn't fool Albert. The ball sails right past Murphy. No higher than his head, but just out of reach and faster than he can respond to. You go, Albert, Connor hollers. Whoa, nice shot, Haywire shouts. You're going to blow those middle school coaches away, Jeff says. Albert Adams, the new starting center for the Riverside Strikers, coming right up. One more thing about Albert. He inspires other players. He's a hero to younger boys like Haywire. They dream that one day they'll play like Albert. But for now, they're happy to feed him the ball and cheer him on. So what did you guys think? Now that we've read that first chapter, is it for entertainment? Is it to persuade? Or is it for information? So even though this chapter gave us information about soccer, it gave us information about this middle school and the soccer tryouts, it's actually not an informational piece. If it was for information, everything in here would just be telling us about soccer. It would say there's 11 goalies. Well, not 11 goalies, that'd be a lot. There's 11 players on the field at a time. There's one goalie. You have it split up into forwards, middlers, and so this really isn't. It's actually telling us a story. So it's not information because there's a story going on. It's also not an opinion because its main purpose isn't to tell us that, hey, these are good soccer players and we should pick them. They're not really trying to persuade us. Its main purpose is entertainment because it's telling us a story. It's telling us the story of Albert and Murphy. And when we read or listen to stories, that's for entertainment purposes. So if you guessed it was for entertainment, you got it correct. Excellent job. If you want to keep reading it, because that's only our first chapter, we're not going to be reading more of it. But if you want to, you can go to our class website under Reading Resources. And then this was in our Tumble Books Cloud Junior. So you would just click on that and then find the book, A Different Game.